Okay, so we're rewriting equations and formulas, which just means we're solving for a specific variable, and you use that in science, and science teachers complain to me all the time because you guys can't do that. Okay, so we're going to try to change that. All right, so I'm taking this equation, I'm solving for y. That means that I have to move everything that is not y, correct? So the first thing I do is I look to see if I have any like terms. I do not. So what is happening to y? I'm multiplying by 3, correct? Let's list that out. Multiplying by 3. And then I'm also adding 4x. So adding 4x. Those are the two things that I have to undo to get y by itself. Okay? So if I look at this, I'm going to rewrite this because I've kind of taken up my workspace. If I'm thinking about the reverse order of operations, SADMIP, I have to undo the adding before I can undo the multiplying. So I undo the adding by subtracting. So I take that whole term, the whole 4x, I'm going to subtract it to the other side. So these two cancel, and over here I'm just left with the 3y equals. Now can I put 9 and negative 4x together? No, because 9 doesn't have an x, right? So I'm literally just going to take the 9 and put the negative 4x behind it. All right? Now the last thing I do is undo the multiplying by 3. So if I want to undo multiplying, I will divide by 3. And I have to divide every single term by 3, right? This one and this one. So this one cancels, so y is equal to, what's 9 divided by 3? 3 minus 4. I don't like the x on top, so I'm just going to stick it on the side. So 4/3 x. And that is your answer. All right, so again, we're solving for y. So I look here, and I'm going to identify everything that's happening to y. So I am multiplying by this negative 7. And since 4x, it's 4x minus 7y, right? 4x is positive, so that means I'm adding 4x. I feel like if you list them out, then it helps you to identify what you have to move, okay? So there's no like terms over here, there's no like terms over here. So I'm going to go ahead and undo the adding first by subtracting. So I'm going to go ahead and write my equation again because I kind of keep taking up my space. So I'm going to subtract 4x, both sides. So over here it cancels, and I have negative 7y left. Now can I put 12 and negative 4x together? No. So I'm going to take and say just 12 minus 4x. If I can't put them together, I just stick them together, right? Then I'm going to undo the multiplying by negative 7 by dividing by negative 7. And remember, you have to divide every single term by the negative 7. Now I have 12 divided by negative 7. That's just going to be negative 12 over 7. But this negative 4 divided by negative 7, that becomes a positive 4 over 7. And then I want to put that x on the side. And those don't reduce, right? And if you needed to know, you could plug them in your calculator, 12 over 7. It'll reduce it if it'll reduce. All right, now I'm solving for, that's an L. It looks like a 1, okay? I'm solving for L. So let's look at this. I have an S over here, so I can't put anything together. I have a 21W, a 21LH, and a 2WH. Okay, so this one's a little bit more complicated. All right, so these are L's. I think I said 21. and 21. So these are L's. So if you wanted to, go ahead and write it and do 2 and then make like a fancy L, like a cursive L, because this is actually the formula for the surface area of a rectangular prism. So we're going to solve for the length. Okay, this is length. All right. So first off, do you notice that you have an L here and an L here? But you can't put these two together because this one has a W and this one has an H. Okay? So what we're going to do first is I want to get these to stay on the same side, but I want to move the one that doesn't have an L to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 2WH. And I'm going to put that on the other side. All right, so here I have S minus 2WH. Because I can't put them together, right? So I'm just going to tack them, you know, like stick them with sticky glue. All right, 2LW plus 2LH. Okay, so you will have done a little bit of this in a previous class, but I'm going to jog your memory. All right, if two terms, so we have one term here, right, and then one term here, those are separated by plus or minus signs, terms are. So I have one term, and both of them have L's, right, and both of them have a 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this side alone for now. All right. And actually, I'm going to leave the 2 alone. I'm going to leave the 2 inside. I'm just going to factor out an L. When I have two terms that have the same thing, I can factor it out. That just means I'm dividing it out. So if I were to take the 2LW and divide out the L, that just leaves me with 2W. And if I did the same thing over here, if I divide the L out of that, then I'm left with 2H. Now I just have the one L. Do you see what factoring does for you? All right, it gets you down to where you can just have that one variable that you want to solve for. And I want to point this out too. If I were to distribute this L, that would give me 2LW and 2LH, right? It's still there. It still means the same thing. It's just we've reduced it down to this. So now this is L times all of this, right? So if I want to get L by itself, all I have to do is divide by the 2W plus 2H. Which cancels this whole big thing. And I don't need the parentheses when I divide it because there's nothing down here to distribute, right? So the length is equal to the surface area minus 2 times the width times the height over 2 times the width plus 2 times the height. All right. So this is area, right, of a circle. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, area of a circle. But they want us to solve it for R. Well, here is R right here. It's the only R we have up here, correct? All right, and what's happening to R? R is being multiplied by pi, and R is being squared, right? And being squared, that's an exponent, right? All right, so let's look at order of operations backwards. If we're multiplying and we have an exponent, which one gets undone first? The multiplying. So since I'm multiplying by pi, I will divide by pi. So my pi's cancel over here. I have area divided by pi is equal to R to the second power. So if I'm going to solve for r, I have to get rid of that squared. How do you get rid of a square? You have to square root it, right? And I have to square root this whole side. That way my square and my square root cancel out, right? So I get r is equal to the square root of area divided by pi. All right, so we are solving for x. And if you look up here, you have an x here, and you have an x here. So I have one term right here, and another term right here. And what do those two terms have in common? They have an x. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take and factor the x out. Remember, factoring something out is just like dividing it. So if I take 3bx and I divide that by x, that leaves me with 3b. And then if I divide negative 7x by x, that just leaves me with negative 7. Now I just have that x right there, all right, which is our goal. So this is x times all of this. So if I want to get rid of the all of this, I divide by the all of this. All right, so I'm going to divide by the 3b minus 7, both sides. So it cancels here. So x is equal to y over 3b minus 7. All right, so we are solving for the y. So first thing, let's identify we only have a y here, right? So if you look over here, do you have anything that you can put together? No. No like terms. And over here, there's no like terms. But I do notice that I have an x and an x. So let's get those together. So I'm going to add the 2x. So I have 16x plus 2x gives me 18x. Then you still have your plus 9 equals, and then over here you have your 9y. All right, now the only thing left to get this y all alone would be to divide by 9. And remember, you have to divide every term by 9. So it cancels here, which leaves me with y equals 18 divided by 9 is 2. And 9 divided by 9 is 1. And then I'm done. All right, so I'm solving for x. So the first thing you always do is look on each side and see if you can put anything together. Can I put together the 2y and the negative 7? No. 4 over x, there's nothing I can do with that. So the problem is that x is in the denominator, and we don't like that. You can't solve for a variable if it's in the denominator. So to get it off the denominator, since I'm dividing by it, I will multiply. So I'm going to multiply by x on this side. And this side has more than one term, so you're going to need to put in parentheses times the x. So x cancels here. I have 4 equals 2y minus 7 times x. So I'm still trying to get x by itself. I've done what I needed to first, which is get it off the bottom. If you're going to solve for that variable, it needs to come off the bottom. So this is x times all of this. So if I want to get x by itself, I have to divide by all of this, the 2y minus 7. I'm going to do that on this side as well. So that cancels. So now I just have x equals 4 over 2y minus 7. All right, I'm solving for x. see. Do I have anything I can put together over here? No. And do I care about this stuff over here? No. I only care that x is being multiplied by 4, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4. All right. So I have a fraction inside of a fraction, right? So this is like 5n over 2y over 4 over 1, right? I can make this 4 over 1. Remember, when you divide fractions, you keep the top fraction, you change the division to multiplication, and you flip the bottom. So essentially, if I divide by just a number, it's going to end up being multiplied by this bottom. So the 4 would have been times the 2y to give you 8y, right? 5n times 1 gives you 5n, and then 4 times 2y gives you 8y. So next time, if you divide by just a number, you can just multiply it times the bottom right there. The top will stay the same. All right, so let's add another one. Number 9, 11 minus 1/2 y equals 3 plus 6x. And we're going to solve this for y. All right, so I'm going to look on this side. Is there anything I can put together? Any like terms? No. On this side, any like terms? No. So I'm going to focus on the y here. That's what I'm solving for. Tell me what's happening with y. It's multiplied by negative 1/2. And then since this 11 is positive, we're adding 11. And if I think about going backwards, the first thing I have to undo would be adding 11. So I'm going to subtract 11. Now over on this side, is there anything I can put that negative 11 with? The 3. So I can put the negative 11 with the 3 over here. So on the left side, I have the negative 1/2 y equals, over here, 3 and negative 11. That's going to make negative 8. And then I still have the plus 6x. All right? Now, I'm multiplying by a negative 1/2. And if you'll remember, we don't divide by fractions. Instead, we multiply by reciprocals. So to get rid of the negative 1/2, you're going to flip it to negative 2 over 1, which is just negative 2, right? On this side, you have more than one term, so you're going to have to put that in parentheses. So that cancels. Y equals, and then you're going to have to distribute. Negative 2 times negative 8 is 16, and negative 2 times 6x is negative 12x. All right, so this is number 10. A equals bx plus cx plus d. We're going to solve this for x. So if we look at both sides, there's nothing to distribute or nothing to do over here, right? I just have an a. Nothing I can put together over here. However, I do notice that I have two separate x's, right? So what I want to do is I want to factor that, but I have this d over here that's kind of messing that up. So I'm going to go ahead and move the d. Since I'm adding it, I will subtract it. Remember, these are just representing numbers, so you do them like anything else. Can I put a and d together? No, so I'm just going to slap them right next to each other. Equals, and then I still have the bx plus the cx. Now I've got the two terms that I want to factor something out of on the same side. So what am I going to be factoring out of them? An x. All right, so if I put the x out front, bx divided by x is b, and cx divided by x is c. Now it's just x times all of this. So if I want to get rid of that, all I have to do is divide by all of that, the b plus the c. So that cancels. X is equal to a minus d over b plus c. All right, number 11. 3x is equal to 9y plus 7 over 2. All right, I have nothing I can combine over here, but I'm solving for, we'll solve this for x. So I have to divide by 3. Now, if I'm dividing by just a number, it's going to end up just getting multiplied by the bottom, right? Okay, so all I have to do is, I mean, if you want to show that, you can, dividing by 3. But I'm just going to put times 3 on the bottom. All right? Because remember, if I take the 9y plus 7 and I divide it by 3, that's like 3 over 1, right? It ends up being flipped, and then it's just the 2 times the 3, right? The top doesn't change. So I've got 3, oh, I got rid of the 3. X equals 9y plus 7 over 6.